my top 10 week 10 defensive streamers. I'm not going to give you 10, just the top week 10 defensive streamers. And at the top of the list for me, a surprising name for many, the Indianapolis Colts, 14% rostered. They're fresh off a 26-point day, though. 4 sacks, 3 picks, 2 of those interceptions returned for touchdowns against the Carolina Panthers here. And who's coming to town? Well, the bottom 5 New England Patriots. And I guess not coming to town because they're going to Germany, where we just saw a kind of freaky, messed up game there between 2 high-powered offenses in the Chiefs and the Dolphins. I think it's going to get even uglier this next Sunday morning. The Pats have allowed the second most points to defenses. In particular, they've been absolutely dreadful these last 4 weeks. Dead last in time of possession, second to last in terms of total scoring, 14 turnovers, tied for 7th in the league, and they looked that much worse without Kendrick Bourne. The only player that was really doing anything for this offense is now out. Oh, boy, it could get really ugly. And so the one thing, too, with the Colts, they don't usually make a good fantasy defense because their games have combined for the most total snaps between teams, over 130 was the average, actually. I'm trying to look at the numbers from this last week, was the average amount of total combined snaps, and they also had an average of 53.8 total points per game, behind only the Dolphins in totals. But that actually might work in their favor. The fact that they move so fast, run so many plays, because that's going to put the ball into Mac's hands more often. And the ball in his hands means more potential turnovers, more potential sacks for this abysmal unit. And this defense was definitely rounding into form last week against a Panthers team that hasn't even given up as much points as the Patriots to opposing defenses. You miss on them, the Chicago Bears are definitely out there in your league. 2% rostered right now. Now, I get it. 1-0 points the past 2 weeks. It's going to be tough to trust them, right? Well, if you look at the 3 weeks before that, 17, 10, and 10 points, well over 12 points per game in that stretch. And that was against the 6th, 12th, and 8th best defenses, teams rather, in terms of allowing points to defenses. Now they get the Panthers. The team we were just raving that gave up 26 points to the Colts defense is coming to town for the Chicago Bears. They got Montez Sweat, TJ Edwards, the secondary's gaining health. So yeah, I get the defense hasn't been overly special this year, but they're getting some playmakers now inserted into this. And given how bad the Panthers are, 28th in total offense, 27th in passing yards, 27th in total scoring, and again, fresh off a 4 turnover day, 2 of them going for touchdowns. This is definitely a situation where you can go and stream your Bears. Now, in terms of the higher rostered guys, Seattle, since week 4, with fully healthy corners, it was looking like a great defense. 36, 8, 10 points, really, really solid numbers. And then they come and get curb stomped by the Ravens run game. 298 yards on the ground, almost 300 rushing yards, 3 touchdowns as well, over 7 yards a pop, a total of 37 points allowed. And we're recommending them? Well, they're getting the Commanders, 5th most points allowed, 2 defenses, 44 sacks on the season, second only to the Giants. And they're not a great run team either. So ultimately, their strengths definitely mesh well with what the Seattle Seahawks do well at shutting down here. So the Commanders have turned the ball over 14 times as well. So this is, I get they've been solid. Even while they're playing solid, the Commanders, they gave up 8 points to a bad Patriots defense, given 3 sacks, 2 turnovers. And Seattle definitely has more talent than this Patriots team does. So I do think Seattle makes a nice higher floor play because, again, the Bears and the Colts are top recommendations. Those aren't 2 really good defenses. They just are in great matchups here. But I do think they have much higher ceilings. But I also think the Seahawks have the best floor here. And if you miss out on those guys, maybe the Raiders are still out there. They've definitely proven they can take advantage of favorable spots after having 8 sacks, picking off DeVito twice, top 5 fantasy week last week for this Raiders team. And who are they welcoming in? But the New York Jets, who just gave up the best defensive stat line of week 9. The Chargers putting up nearly 30 fantasy points as a defense. They gave up. The Jets only scored 6 points. They gave up 8 sacks, returned a punt return touchdown as well for the Chargers. So on the season, the Jets have now given up the 5th most points to defenses. I misspoke. The Commanders were the 6th most in the last one. So definitely a spot where the Raiders fired up under Antonio Pierce, a defensive guy, rallying the troops. I think you get another really, really solid week from them. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.